DC heroes are way more spread out than Marvel ones, and it's a fact that's made a lot of you go crazy. For example, Superman's based out of Delaware, while Sue Storm and the Fantastic Four are based out of New York City. Heck, Hawkgirl is based out of Louisiana, so you know what that means.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Meanwhile, Black Widow is also based out of New York City, and sometimes San Francisco, but that was just for a stint in the 70s. The Green Lantern, John Stewart, is based out of Detroit. Why they gotta do him like that? And Captain America is based out of, yeah, you guessed it, New York City again. Heck, never forget that Batman in Gotham is actually in the state of New Jersey, while Spider-Man is also in New York. Dude, Martian Manhunter is from Colorado, and Wally West is from Nebraska. Throw in Wonder Woman part-time living in Washington, D.C. and California, the Justice League animated team is spread out everywhere. So, to anybody who tries to counter this video, all I have to say is...
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
Superman is insanely weak.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Okay, let me clarify. A lot of people out there say that Superman is insanely overpowered, and some versions are. Like with All-Star Superman, who can single-arm press 200 quintillion tons. Yeah, that's magnitudes more than the weight of the moon, and a little bit less than your mom. But what I'm talking about is the original Superman from 1938, back when Clark Kent was dishing out truth, justice, and the American way. But on the first page of Action Comics #1, Superman's first appearance, we find out he's actually not that impressive by today's standards. Originally, Superman didn't fly. Instead, he could long jump an eighth of a mile and hop over a 20-story building. So basically almost 2 football fields in length and less than a quarter of the height of the Empire State Building. He also said he could lift tremendous weights and run faster than a train. With some quick math, the I-beam he's lifting up is about 1,200 pounds. And at the time the book was written, the fastest train in the world was 126 miles an hour. Yeah, and the funniest part? He wasn't powered by the sun, and every Kryptonian was this strong. Your favorite DC heroes aren't DC heroes. Okay, but let me explain. Even though characters like Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman might be huge pillars of DC, 2/3 of them were made by different publishers. As I'm sure you're aware, DC stands for Detective Comics, the first comic that Batman showed up in issue number 27. Yeah, I'm pretty sure people nowadays wouldn't let issue number 1 come out. But Superman, who came out the year before, was in Action Comics, which was published by the parent company of Detective Comics, National. On the inside of the book, it does say published by DC, but that was actually for marketing purposes, since Detective Comics had been around longer. So, characters like Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash, heck, even Hawkman were actually created under this company, All American Comics, and National ended up consolidating all 3 companies into one. Then they were able to use every single character together. But to me, the funniest thing about all of this is that they didn't become DC Comics officially until 1977. So for 40 years, they were publishing stories as DC when they were actually National. It is impossible for Dr. Doom to get out of his own way. I got this comment on TikTok, saying that Doom would let the world burn rather than say that Mr. Fantastic is smarter than him. And honestly, it's even worse than that. His insane hatred of Reed Richards goes all the way back to their first meeting. Reed Richards made the mistake of telling Dr. Doom that his math was wrong. So Doom kicks him out of the room and goes to his new machine that he built, that lets him talk to the Netherworld. Yeah, I'm sure that won't have ramifications in the future. Anywho, it explodes and that's what gives him the scar, and for some reason he blames Reed for it. Personal accountability is not Victor Von Doom's strong suit. So here are some of the crazy things that he's done instead of compliment Reed Richards. In Avengers X-Men Eternals Judgment Day, issue number 4, hell of a title by the way, a Celestial is going to pass judgment on Doom. And to pass, all he has to do is say that Reed Richards is smarter than him. Doom starts busting up laughing, turning around cackling as he walks away. And he somehow passed. Plus there's the time he went to a different universe and met himself. That version of him actually let everything go and became best friends with Reed. So Doom took him out and blew up his universe. Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, definitely plays around too much. If you weren't aware, she's actually married to Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. But that doesn't always stop her extramarital affairs. For example, let's take a look at her interaction with Black Panther, who, if you didn't know, actually showed up in Fantastic Four issue 52. And in Fantastic Four 21 from volume 4, Sue and T'Challa end up going for a bit of a night swim. But she's in a nightgown, so she can't be wearing that. And apparently Black Panther's suit is water repellent. So of course the married woman goes skinny dipping with the king of the country she's in. And things start to get very intimate. And this chick's about to risk it all for a taste of the dark chocolate, before they both come to their senses and go their separate ways. Then when talking about it later, T'Challa's like, hey, no one would have known. And don't even get me started on her many flings with Namor the Submariner. That is like her go-to boy toy when she's pissed with her husband. He's like one of the Fantastic Four's main antagonists. It's a vicious cycle, so I'm just gonna let Asmongold handle this.
Gooning and hating, gooning and hating, gooning and hating, gooning and hating.
Reed deserves better. The incoming president was in Marvel Comics long before his first term. It might be wild to think about, but the first mention of Donald Trump in Marvel Comics happened in 1987, in Iron Man issue 227, with Michael J. Fox appearing in the same comic, which is just nuts. And in the comic, we find out that Tony Stark owned an entire floor of Trump Tower. Plus, there's also the time in New Avengers when Luke Cage lifts up his limo, and of course he threatens to sue him, before Cage threatens him and he rolls up his window. And then, of course, there's always in Spider-Gwen's universe, where, no joke, he's the universe's MODOK. But instead of M-O-D-O-K, it's M-O-D-A-A-K. I'm sure it means the same thing. Don't even get me started on DC's version of him. In DC Comics, Dark Knight Returns Part 3, the Joker, who by the way was dead in this universe, and Darkseid are working together to get him elected in the first term. Jeez. Comics are weird. Batman's most iconic villain was not supposed to last.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
But let me explain. When you think about Batman, I'm pretty sure there's one villain that comes to mind. And that would be the Joker, debuting in Batman issue number 1. Which, by the way, wasn't Batman's first appearance, that came out 2 years before. But the clown prince of crime, Mr. J himself, wasn't supposed to survive the issue. Because, as we see at the end of issue number 1, he's trying to poke Batman. But Batman dodges out of the way on purpose, making it go straight into the Joker's own chest. Of course, he starts cackling. Before he hits the ground, and Batman and Robin assume he went to the Shadow Realm, only for the medical examiner to confirm he's still alive. Okay, what's the deal? Why did I say he wasn't supposed to last if he did in the same issue? Well, because originally he was supposed to go. But the editors stepped in and said, hold on a minute, this is a good idea, we should keep him. It's not like Batman wasn't taking people out in the comics at this time, he absolutely was. Whether it was with a bat plane, his own foot, or the many times he used a firearm. So if the editor never stepped in and said anything, this 80-year rivalry would never exist.